2nd, 2017. I'm International Master William Paschall. We're here with our moderator, Blue Crow. He's not really here, but we're having a conversation in the Twitch stream right now. I'm on Twitch as Slaggy. We're Sparkle Horse on lichess. Yeah, I didn't change any settings in the OBS. It's something with Twitch. There's some sort of bug. Occasionally Twitch gets really buggy, but nothing to do with the stream itself functioning. Every time I try to edit something in my Twitch page, I get a weird error message, and I couldn't upload my video to YouTube yesterday for no apparent reason. But that's been known to happen in the past. Guys, if you'd like to check out my YouTube channel, Video Chess Training on YouTube, this afternoon I'm going to try to upload a new video over there, which is not related to Twitch, so expect that should go all right. Today is Fast Friday, so we're just playing 5+3 blitz. If you want to play chess 960, you can make it like with the longer increments, so something like 4+5 if you want. I'm allowing a little bit of flexibility at the suggestion of Blue Crow. He actually challenged me in chess 960. Let's get started. We've got 7 challenges. Aldisto, SXPG, Kyriakos, Dumb Saint, Lousy Cheater, Ayesta, and Blue Crow. Again, like Blue Crow is 4+5. I mean, just because I think with the chess 960 it's nicer to have a little bit more than 3-second increment, but it doesn't really matter. I mean, objectively, there's not a lot of difference between 4+5 and 5+3. We're kind of... Kyriakos challenged me to 6+5. Whatever, man. I really don't feel like making him change his challenge again. I don't think he didn't show up actually yesterday when we started the game, and I'm not sure he's tuned into the stream or not. Maybe I'm gonna have to turn on the fan here. It wasn't as hot as yesterday, but I'm still like sweating like a pig, so we'll get some white noise going on. Alright, c4. I'm just going to stick to my repertoire. This is fast. I mean, I realize a lot of you guys probably play 3-0 and 2-0 and 1-0, but I'm kind of out of practice with that. So for me, 5+3 is... 5-0 is fast, but even 5+3 is kind of fast still. So again, I have a tournament coming up in a week and a half at Balaton Lela. Lake Balaton is sort of the only resort area in Hungary. A lot of tourists from all over Europe have been known to go down there. So we've got a tournament. It's like a closed GM round robin, 10 players. Not certain about the players because they're changing all the time. He played d3. That's really a little bit on the passive side here for white. Anyway, I don't have time to think. This is just for fun. We're playing... we could play like my game with Krukun from the last round of... my last round game of Zalakaros, where I was white against Yuri Krukun. But Aldi still goes into a normal Botvinnik system here, which is fine. Against Krukun, I just played like knight f3 with d3, but it's pretty lame. I never liked this variation for white with d3. The way that Aldisto is probably playing it is the best under the circumstances, I think, to play e4 to get some center. Well, he played d3 early on move 5. So welcome everybody. I'm streaming from Budapest. Beautiful day here actually. Yesterday was really, really hot, but today's better. Interesting question here. To castle, play h6. Maybe knight d4. I'm just going to castle, and then he goes h4 or something. Oh, whatever. It's not a closed Sicilian. If this pawn was back, I know I've said this before in a previous game against Aldisto, but I think it's much more dangerous if c4 is in. If you guys don't see the stream, just try refreshing the Twitch page. There's h4. I think it's still dangerous for me. And maybe I shouldn't have done that. But I'm not happy about this. I didn't think he would call my bluff there. He's going to have some serious attacking chances. I really need to be able to defend like g7. I'm going to have to get creative here, I'm afraid. Knight d4, and white has good attacking chances. I shouldn't commit to castling there. Actually, I don't need the fan on. It's not that hot. Weird. I actually feel a little bit cool after I turn the fan on now. So it's Friday. Tomorrow I have a day off, and then Sunday I do a simul here on lichess. Every Sunday I can, basically. 6:30 p.m. or 18:30 CSET, CEST, whatever. Central European Summertime. Too many letters. It's just annoying to say that. You know, I mean, it's hard enough to say like Eastern Time, Central Time. I mean, America's easier, you know, but Central European Summertime, like, seriously, I have to say that? Four words to describe a time zone. Okay, h5, and we've got problems here. It's a very simple attacking plan for white. I don't know what the best defense is. I feel like I have to play rook f7 somehow. So as weird as it might seem, my f6 might be my best move. This is a very, very strange looking move, but it allows for rook f7, it allows for queen f8, and we can follow up with e5. So I don't think there's any easy way to put black away here. And at the end of the day, maybe he'll run out of ideas. Schedule. Thank you, Plucro, man. You did a good job with the Moobot. Welcome, everyone. Has anybody been taking a look at the European Championship, individual championship? Because there's a lot of good games. It's just outrageous how many strong players, like 100 GMs. In Minsk. Here I don't think we have too many choices. Can't drop a pawn, so it's either e5 or knight takes e2. e5 feels more constructive. My king can hide on f7 in some instances. White, for his part, can actually castle either way, depending on his mood. You corrected your challenge. Is that Kyrgios? I didn't see. I think so. Yeah, thanks. Sorry you couldn't play yesterday. We challenged you, but got no response. Kyrgios, I don't remember where you were in the line there. Do you guys remember where he was in the challenge list? Somewhere like in the middle? It's easy. I mean, I just have to play only moves. Rook f7 and take with the rook and try to hide my king on f7. It's like the only way that doesn't lose by force. The Nesmedina Memorial started. By the way, like, I didn't look at that. Like, is this a new event or something that got stronger? Or I'm just like clueless. Yeah, Kyrgios, I think he was around third in the list. I'm not really sure. Maybe second or third. I think he was somewhere between SXPG and Lousy Dirty Cheater, but I'm not sure if he was in front of Dumb Saint or not. Don't do what I did here in the opening, if you guys ever play this position. Not good to allow h4, h5. Not quite as scary as the closed Sicilian where the pawn's back on c2. There, white has like an accelerated version of this. He would even have like an extra tempo. So now this is an interesting recapture. You know, taking away a little bit of white's central control, but like opening up his bishop on g2 a bit. I don't really know what his best is there. Somewhat sharp position. Maybe I should play g5. That doesn't really do anything, I guess. I was thinking about bishop g4. Making horse noises. Where to put my pieces? Bishop g4, provoking f3, then go back to d7. He's pretty quick to attack me on the h-file here, and I'm not liking this too much. So that's kind of unpleasant. Bishop g4, rook h4, bishop queen d7, and then my bishop gets trapped, for example. Man, I don't know what to do here. It should be defensible for black, yet it's still kind of unpleasant. All right. Nothing I can do about this h-file problem. Just kind of live with it. And in the event of c5, we just take d6, bishop c6. We can negate his bishop on g2. Now f4. Oh, this is a crazy move. I'm just trying to trap his king in the center for the time being. Not really sure what's going on here. Now we can take back either way. It obviously looks dangerous to take back with a d-pawn. Although everything looks dangerous here. If I take back with a d-pawn, these pawns are kind of rolling down. Now he played bishop there. So getting tactical, bishop f3, not a good idea probably. Queen f6, also not a good idea. Probably have to play bishop f5. Ooh, this is dangerous. My king is really open there. I'm fortunate that I can trade queens. Though I don't know how fortunate objectively. Maybe I'm in trouble here. I'm going to offer him a draw. I mean, I think that I'm worse here. He could have played queen takes queen and rook h6. When my d-pawn goes, I thought I'm just like lost, but maybe not. Let me see. Last position here before you played this last move. So if you just play queen takes queen and rook d6 there, rook h6, or some combination of the above, this is why I offered a draw. I'm like thinking I'm just like almost lost here, but maybe not. It looks better for white, you know. Anyway, we were just really low on time, and anything could happen. According to the computer, I can hang on here. I was nervous about this position. But rook h1, king f7, apparently somehow I can play the rook back, so it's still equal. But in the final position, well, something happened with my Twitch. I have a computer problem. Oh, I'm going to have to reboot. That's not good. Alright. Something wrong with my other computer. So final position, I played rook f8, and I think it's truly equal. So it's not an unreasonable draw for. I don't like just agreeing to draws. I know I had 8 draws in my last tournament, but we both had like 4 seconds left, and I thought I might be slightly worse. So it seems like a reasonable result for this game. Opening was not good. Let's take a look here. Everything's normal until like I played. I wonder about d6 too. Would it be better to play like b6? Not a lot of games in this position, but there's something to be said for b6 instead of d6. Alright, d6, queen d2, and now castle. So I'm not sure this is accurate for me to play. I got to get back to my channel here on Twitch. Hungarian tournament game there. Nemeth versus Win Coin Min. Vladimir Rapoport, not to be confused with Rapport. Anyway, so apparently like castles is not really recommended here. Knight d4. What would Miso Sabalo do? h5 probably, like the old dragon player. He was playing in Zalakarosh. Great player for a. He must be pushing 70, and he's still playing like sharply the dragon every game. All right. So we're lucky to get a draw there. Let me open my Twitch Mubat window, and we'll get back to the second game. History. All right. I had a problem with my display driver on my other laptop. Suddenly it like started to freak out, so I had to restart my browser. All right, not a good idea to allow h4, etc. there. Maybe I was like close to lost. Let's see. Ooh, this is nasty for black. I played f6. Apparently. Yeah, I mean, I don't see a clear way for white to win. I mean, I don't know about f4. Maybe you should just castle and try to triple on the h-file or something. Anyway, guys, let's get on with it. SXPG 5+3. Feel free to join us in the chat on Twitch. Get some conversation going about the chess world, what's going on in tournaments. By the way, Plucro, yeah, birds chirping, DST. It's nice and relaxing. It's like a forest chess stream. Forest Fridays. Yeah, you wouldn't imagine I live in the middle of an urban environment. Except for the ambulances that go firing past. It's birds chirping contrasting with ambulance sounds. It's kind of weird. I don't know why I wanted to play Night Before there. The birds are really going nuts, actually. Is that a sign like there's a storm coming or something? Let's just say that I had too many draws. Okay, this position, the aggressive move is c takes d, but there are various ways for white to get a slight edge after that. So I think we have to accept the fact that black's best move is e takes d, going into these symmetrical structures. And I think a few people have quit the Alekhine's defense because of this fact, you know, that probably we have to resign ourselves to playing the symmetrical structure. Harbingers of Doom. Yeah. Well, it's kind of normal for them to chirp like really early in the morning, but at like 10:30, it is kind of weird. Bishop d3. You know, they typically start chirping at like around 4 in the morning. I mean, I live on the top floor of a building, and that's why the birds like live on the roof, you know, so it's not like on every floor they have this problem. So bd3. Here, I don't really know why I'm thinking in this position. I was just suddenly thinking, like, can white play queen h5? But I mean, that's totally unsound. You need to convert those draws into wins. I had some chances in a couple of games, and I didn't push hard enough. Okay, one game I had a really good position, and I didn't feel well. I was black in an old Indian, a crazy old Indian line against this 2300 from Norway, and I had like a slightly better ending, but I physically felt sick. So when he offered a draw, I was actually kind of happy that day. The other games, though, there were some instances where I really should have tried a little bit harder. Okay, queen c2 is a very strange move, attacking h7, but I think the queen ends up a little bit misplaced here once I resolve the threat to h7, and he's potentially going to get hit 2 different ways on b4 and d4. So maybe we play knight c6, bishop takes h7, king h8. I mean, that looks very interesting to me. This is a blitz game, man. I'm going to go for it. Sleepy Mario, you're not too late to challenge. We don't have that many challenges, and it's 5+3 today. So you can definitely challenge now, and I think you'll get to play. No problem. Triple threat. This is hanging, and I'm also threatening to trap his bishop. Maybe. Sort of. Sort of threatening to trap his bishop. Don't try this at home. It looks a little risky, but then again, queen c2 is probably just a concretely bad move for white. It's very early to be moving the queen. White's king is still in the center. There's an open file. So he started off correctly, but he's supposed to play like knight on g to e2 here. That's usually the best setup. Some combination of knight ge2, bishop e3. Okay, I'm not sure this is 100% sound. I mean, he can definitely give a pawn for a pawn and get some sort of playable game here. You know, what should I do if it was a serious game? Maybe h6. I would think long and hard about the best way to defend this pawn. h6, it's less weakening than g6, but it's also a move that sets up potential sacrifices on h6 later on. I'm definitely going to do a simul on Sunday. It's blitz night. I like how he says that. There's only 5 challengers. I guess a lot of people, you know, it's summertime, and what is going on? I forgot to move the position back. So now if g6, he could play h4, king takes h7, h5 with some attacking chances. He can also just take on g6 with what amounts to most likely a perpetual check. Maybe not, though. Take, bishop f5. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I'm taking my life in my hands here, obviously, trying to win this piece, but you know, if h4, I could even play bishop g4. Actually, if h4, bishop f5 probably just wins for black. Never mind. I think he has to sack the bishop. Yeah. So I wasn't sure what's going on here, but it's a fun position to play in a 5-minute game. Got a new pawn. It's like Crazy House. We're just going to put this pawn on h7. New build it yourself king shelter. Almost all my pieces are mobilized. It's probably winning for black. Do it yourself, king shelter. I'm gonna trade queens here, and that should leave me with a technically winning position. All my pieces are mobilized. It'll be interesting to see after the game if actually what I did is the best or not, you know. I mean, to sack the H-pawn in general, first of all, was that the best move for black? And was G6 the best move? It looks pretty good. I mean, what else could he have done, actually? If you think about it, you know? I guess after bishop takes H7 check, his best is to just bring the bishop back. You know, bishop D3, and then knight takes D4, and we have a game where, like, I've traded my H-pawn for the pawn on D4. That's basically most likely to be the right continuation. But IKEA castling, yeah. Castle in a box. He can play queen e2 here. That's not really going to help his cause, though. That probably just loses by force. Queen e2, knight takes d4. Oh, yeah, that works. He doesn't have the bishop f6. I was like freaking out. There's no bishop takes f6 here. Our queen is protected by dual rooks. He has king d2, which is really nasty, actually. Ouch. It's almost mate. Oh, this hurts. Yeah, this is brutal. All pieces in the game. No mate. Immediately. Still don't even have a mate. Okay, I do. He's offering me a free nugget there. It's like made in 8 or something. Okay, just a quick glance after I finish the game to check the opening. If you check the statistics, by the way, on ED or C takes D, I bet there's a marked difference. White scores better with CD, 43% winning chances. Funny that I would think that black's winning chances would be higher too, but it's not. Anyway, okay, this is the main line starting position. I'm supposed to play knight c6 here on bishop d3. That makes sense. I mean, you're attacking d4 and knight b4. Maybe you have dual threats immediately. Though this is fine, and he's supposed to play knight and g to e2 here. Not any alternatives. It's amazing. Like, after 7 moves, basically, white only has like a couple moves, knight e2 or h3, that are good. Queen c2 only played once. Black played g6 in that game. Bishop f6 is interesting. That's a computer suggestion. Another way of attacking, allowing h7. I mean, wow. Bishop e4 or bishop d3. So basically, has to rescue that piece. And here, I don't know what to recommend for white. I mean, what else is he going to do? Bishop h6 or something? That doesn't help. Ouch. Okay. I almost broke my ceramic coffee cup. Anyway, d5. Anyway, it's not good for white. Pawn down at least. Alekhine's defense. Dumb Saint, I'm supposed to play Kyrgios-Pez. Sorry, I'll play Kyrgios-Pez next. Alright, I've been making a promise to myself to play d4 and e4 instead of copping out with sort of like quiet c4 knight f3. This is the sharpest, I think the sharpest move for black, really. Benoni or Benko. You can also play c5 on move 1. An interesting opening that's sort of underrated. I play 2 lines against the Benko, probably not enough actually. I play b6 and knight c3. I haven't had good luck with knight c3 here on the stream, the Zaitsev variation. I've lost a couple of games because I'm not really brushed up on the theory with that. So we're gonna stick with b6. I don't remember playing this opponent in a Benko. Actually, I don't remember our games too well. We have about 10 games. I think I played e4 against him several times in Najdorf's, but not really d4. So Plucro says b6 is just immediately alright for black after e6. You know, Plucro, I was analyzing that position yesterday, and I've had a lot of games in that, but you know, you have to admit one thing, that if you choose to play e6, if you're playing this opening like as a winning attempt, you know, I think that e6 allows a lot of simplification and sort of forcing variations. I'm not sure that black shouldn't, you know, maybe has better chances in the g6 lines, but I feel like the e6 lines are sort of torturous for black, you know, technical, and you have to be very careful, and the maximum you can do is like draw. Whereas with g6 the game is more complicated and delayed until later. The conflict is delayed until later, let's say, if you play g6. If you play e6, it induces a lot of forced variations, and clarification of the position is imminent. You know, e6, knight c3, takes, blah, 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 blah. I've had a lot of games in those lines, you know. It's sort of analyzed to death. Dumb Saint played a line that's pretty rare. There was a German IM on ICC, and I don't remember his name, who, I think he was German. Now I'm not sure. Maybe he wasn't. Maybe he was like Scandinavian, but I can't remember. But this is a few years ago. There was this one guy who used to play this line for black. It's very rare. And now I can't remember what I'm supposed to do. I mean, I have to play e4. I remember now. Yeah, there was one guy. I think he was German. I had a couple games within this line. But I don't know it very deeply. I mean, the main idea for black is that white ends up with this pawn on d5 that could get to be a kind of like long-term weakness. It's the Franco-Benoni idea. Happens a lot in the Franco-Benoni. By the way, keep your eyes out for e5 ideas in these type of positions. Sometimes it's very strong. Unfortunately, here black has the Scotch like queen e7, so it's not so good. But I would think Plucro, that a lot of those e6 lines are analyzed to death. I mean, it's pretty easy to go fairly deep into those, because the variations are very forcing. Now, what I do remember about this is that I think I'm supposed to play a4, but the problem is I'm not really sure why. Force him to take on b6 with the queen, and then what, like play a5, so he doesn't have, or alternatively force him to play a5 himself. So he doesn't have b6 to harass my pawn on d5. This is about the end of my theoretical knowledge, because this German guy who played against me surprised me with it, and then I went and looked it up. This is a couple years ago, and it's surprising how few players actually play this variation. But we get the pawn to a5, which means that there'll be no knight coming to b6, which means that there's no like third thing that can attack my pawn on d5, which is good, because that's my primary my primary issue here. You know, that pawn would fall, my whole position would sort of fall apart. Queen c7. Logical. Queen b4, rook a4. Loses a queen. I tried to do that against Kovalenko, but he didn't fall for that, unfortunately. Okay, so he's coming with knight bd7. He's going to try to play probably g6, bishop g7. No, he can just play bishop e7 too. What is our plan in the structure? See, I don't like the structure for white because we don't have any pawn breaks, which means we can only operate with pieces. f5 square. I'm just not really sure what the heck I'm supposed to do here. Put a knight on c4. Alright. I guess I should keep him off of e5. I don't know. I was looking at all sorts of maneuvers, like knight here, knight g3, knight f4. Putting a knight on f5 might be nice at some point. Can't remember what I analyzed ages ago. Arsenal fan Richie, knight h5, knight b5 perhaps. Oh, knight b5 for black, yeah, but in that case he put his queen on the wrong square. If you want to organize knight b5 somehow. But it's difficult to organize knight b5, but maybe you're right. You know, maybe queen back to d8, followed by castles knight e8 and knight b5. Knight through b5. I'm not sure if that's what Rich was suggesting, but I did think about that. You know, the queen going back to d8 might be a better path for black. There's something artificial about my position. I don't like playing these sort of situations where, I don't have any sort of pawn break. And it's not really clear what my plan is. Just stick the pieces out there on random squares without any concrete concept. Any kind of long-term plan. I'm tied down to a5, so I can't, you know, free my rook from the a file. Okay, white has a space advantage. But if black just hangs tough, what am I supposed to do? Don't know. Sort of hoping he does something like 95, so that even might not be bad for black. Actually, I'm not sure. 95, take. Giving me a passed pawn, but giving him a kingside majority. It looks like an unnecessary risk for black, but it still might not be bad. That's a problem. Damn, that's a really, really good move. We're gonna have to change plans, I think. This is a problem. Alright, never mind. I think he's just good here. So I can attack d6 somehow, which is very hard to do. Right? That's not impossible. Complication's not unfavorable to white. I mean, bishop f6 is his most logical move, but I'm not sure the timing was right. Maybe it would have been better just to play knight e5 or something. He blundered. Blunderatron. The Blundertron 2000. Damn, I don't know, man. You played this really well. Right up to that last fatal step. Okay, still... it's not over till it's over. Knight on g4 is unprotected, but I don't see any way to... I don't see any way to finish him off easily here. Wow, down to 9 seconds. Not very much. Let's try to keep everybody happy. Keep everyone protected. This was lucky, though. This looks over. This better work. I didn't calculate too far. Maybe I should just take here first. What's the difference, right? No, I mean, at the critical moment in this game, maybe black's even slightly better. What's going on? Opening. Main line. A4. And then everybody plays A5 for black here. Not everybody. Almost everybody. But it doesn't seem forced. Yeah, now this is a one question here. Now maybe it's best to go back to d8. Like Richie was talking about, this idea of later on playing knight e8, knight c7, knight b5. I don't know. It's kind of long-winded, and I'm not sure. The few players who played this position played queen c7, but this has only been reached once before, although black's position looks playable. Ostrowski, in relation to the other Ostrowski, and Herman Gruten. Both guys played my move, bishop c4. It's a strange place, but you want to keep your d5 pawn protected. Castles, it looks like perfect play. White's slightly better. Did I see a Vijmanavin game? Wow. Vijmanavin played h3 here. He's a 2600 player who just tragically died pretty young. I mean, I don't think he was definitely under 40 when he passed away. Vijmanavin was very strong. Rook e1, h3. I don't know, guys. This is cool. Rook e1, rook e8. I played bishop d2. Bonikas had a game in 2009 with black here. But this looks playable. I don't like my move bishop d2. I take that back. I prefer this guy's move or bishop f4. But still black has a playable game. Interesting opening. You're talking about an unsound sack for white. Alright. Lousy dirty cheater. I'm white again. I'm going to play e4. This is a new opponent. I mean, not new, new this week. Oh shit, I forgot Kyrgios again. Eventually I'll remember. Sorry, man. Lousy dirty cheater played the Alekhine's defense himself. To be honest, I used to play the exchange variation against the Alekhine's defense like my last opponent, but the same thing applies for both sides. After c4, knight b6, ed, it sort of takes the fun out of the position for me. I just don't really enjoy those positions very much, so I think I'd prefer to learn to play the main lines with knight f3. Sorry, Kyrgios. At least the games aren't too long. He played g6 now. I had a friend who used to play this at the Boylston Chess Club in Boston, the FIDE master Jakob Racine. He was an expert in this variation for black, but not too many people play this. I mean, it probably is, it could be black's best move actually, g6. But I'm trying to remember now. How does it go? I'm supposed to play like bishop c4, c6, knight g5 or something crazy? See, I don't really remember these crazy lines with knight g5. It would probably be a good idea to learn that because it's supposed to be critical. Since I never played this variation for black, I don't really know it very well for white. I always play the exchange. So I'm just basically on my own here. You like playing knight c3, not critical. Knight c3 is fine. It's kind of like playing the closed Sicilian or something. I mean, it's a side variation that's perfectly playable, but it's not going to refute or test the opening completely. Whoops. Losing control of my mouse. I'm trying to just play a kind of solid, safe setup for white here. You're with World Loser on the exchange variation. Yeah, World Loser, but it's like after c4 and e takes d6, e takes d6. You know, I also played it for black, but honestly, I don't like to play that position for either side. It's fun when black plays c takes d, but it's not, you know, the symmetrical structure is, I just find it to be very insipid, you know. So now c6. What if we just do the same thing, you know? Eventually I'm going to have to break down and do something, but black also has to do something. Maybe you should take on e5 there. Previously, c3's, I know that it's excessively conservative, but the onus is on black to do something. I was just kind of in a mood to play a simple structure, kind of like the c3 Sicilian. With certain positions, I just don't like to play with both sides. You know, the exchange Alekhine with ed is one of those. You saw that earlier game that I won, but if white plays correctly in those lines, it's just as torturous or even worse for black. I don't know. I guess I have a bias against symmetrical pawn structures. It's not very interesting and dynamic. Sleepy Mario. So Kyrgios, maybe if I keep saying it, I'll remember. Kyrgios is next. Then Ayeste Plucro, Sleepy Mario, Arsenal fan, and King Chaser. I think King Chaser wakes up late. He's always getting in the last challenge. somehow he finds a way to always be the last challenger. This is not a critical line. I doubt we'll find too many games even played in this position. So, knight d7 finally, and that's interesting now. My intention was to take on d6. Getting that symmetrical structure I was talking about, although solid version for white. I could also play bishop f1. But after bishop f1, pawn takes pawn, knight c5. Maybe. Okay, I mean, I guess I should be considering crazy moves like c4. We just don't have a lot of time here. Alright. We'll go for maximum complications, although I doubt this is theoretically the best move for white. Once again, I wasn't thrilled with to play this totally symmetrical structure. But that's probably my best. Like ED, CD, knight, I don't know, bishop g5 or something like that. Bishop g5, queen b6, queen b3, for example. Or knight a3. Black is close to equal. And in this position, it's a little different. There's some possibility that my e5 pawn is kind of overextended here. Yeah, I mean, of course e6 is a threat. Oh, you want to play e6 right away? Wow. Yeah, I didn't consider this. Maybe you're right. Well, he takes, I play knight g5, he plays knight f6. He's got knight c7, so I doubt it. Queen a5 is a weird move. I was looking for ways to, again, maybe knight e6. I mean e6, but I really want to develop my pieces, you know. I don't have the most aggressive position in the world set up for white, you know, to be doing stuff like e6 with c3, bishop still on c1, my queen side undeveloped. I mean, it's a pretty conservative positional type of setup for white. Here I'm going to play knight c4 and take with a knight on e5 in most cases. I like the way that black played this, though. I don't really have much. Maybe it's just equal. How were these other games, the dirty cheater? Yesterday he played well and lost a piece at the last moment. And the other game, he played a crazy gambit. But in this case, he should exchange on e5. I don't see how black can benefit by not exchanging pieces there. I suppose he doesn't have to, but he should want to because he has less space. I guess at the end of the day, I don't really have a good way to avoid, you know, the exchanges. Like, what am I going to do? Play knight c4 here or something? Can I win a pawn? Still, knight takes d7, queen takes d7. Knight takes d7, bishop takes d7, c4. Even there, black might have some kind of compensation if I take the pawn. Probably not enough. But knight takes, queen takes d7. Really sure what's going on around here. Oh, bishop takes. Alright. So I wasn't sold on this. He insta-took with a bishop. But the point is you've got to keep e7 protected. And although he might have some counterplay because I weakened my d4 pawn. His h6 pawn is always hanging. That was kind of a sketchy move, h6. So now he's just basically down a pawn without quite enough compensation for it. Pieces are very active. Black has some kind of compensation at the moment. He's got the file, he's got all of his pieces active. Though I wouldn't want to play a computer if I were black here. Against a human being, he has good compensation. Half a pawn. The engine says 0.8 for white. That's kind of generous. I mean, to me it looks like black has more than 0.8, better than 0.8, 0.5 or some half a pawn, I would say. But material is material, I guess. The computer likes white. This is not a position we're going to find too many games with. I'm supposed to play bishop c4 here, and then knight g5. Bishop c4 is c6, knight g5, I believe. No. Knight b6, wow. The next move, knight b6, bishop b3, bishop g7, and then knight g5. Slightly good idea to get it right. This is probably the way I should play with black, actually. Rather than bishop g4. But you need to do a lot of analysis. This is a kind of sharp position. And I don't know the theory. So I played what? Bishop e2 here. He can take on e5 right away, apparently equalizing. Castles. Castles. Rook e1. Lazo Bartsai versus Zoli, my teammate. Yeah, this is just not a very critical position. Sanduleak. Vasile. Yeah, here I thought that black should take on e5. And after take on e5, then queen c7. Although there, maybe I can play e6, you know. Computer doesn't think much of that. Maybe not. I have to play something else. Alright. Anyway, interesting game, but I need to play a more critical line. So we remember to play Kyriakos. Thank you guys. I'm just doing 5+3 today. You might see a few other people challenge me to something else, but they're not supposed to be doing that. Actually, Plucro has challenged me to 4+5. In Chess 960, I'll allow you guys to play with a 5-second increment. Just because Chess 960 is so weird. I feel like we need the extra increment. So there I have a hole in my repertoire against the Alekhines defense. I lost my faith in the exchange variation, so I need to find something to play. Or else just work on the ED. I think that's the only solution. To really start to work on ED in the Alekhines defense for both sides. Maybe you can play a simul. I can't do a simul today, guys. I don't have time for that. We've got an hour and a half left. When I do a simul, I do it all the way. I play every Sunday a long simul 3-hour time control. 40 minutes, 40-second increments. Come this Sunday, 6:30 p.m. CEST. Here on lichess, of course. I don't really play anywhere else. Alright guys, let's have some fun with Kyriakos. I don't know how much he knows. I used to play this gambit. It's a lot of fun. Wow, he insta-took. This is a variation that it's fun for white, probably sound. And every time I play black in the Queen's Indian, I have this moment of uncertainty. Recently, I had games with several good players, Ivan Farago, and later I played a couple of other players. A young player, Orosh Andrash. I played Varga. Not Zoltan Varga, the other Varga, Peter Varga. And every time I'm playing black in the Queen's Indian, I have this moment of fear that white's going to play d5. And I don't really know the theory that well, for black especially. I need to work on Alekhine's defense. So Kyrgios immediately goes wrong. This is a very important position. You have to play c6 here. There's a lot of, well, not a lot, but there is some Karpov-Kasparov game, or maybe a few, where they debated this variation. But it's absolutely essential. Like I was saying this the last couple of days, if you don't punish bad moves or questionable or risky moves, they become good moves. This is like a concrete example of that. Like black absolutely must play c6 here. Maybe there's some weird side variation with knight e4, but for the most part, you have to play c6. c6, c takes d, knight takes d5, knight f5, and white sacks a pawn for long-term compensation. But after d6, you just have like very little space. Actually, I'm not sure. I think I'm supposed to take there, but I might even be able to finesse it a little bit. If black's pawn was on c5, I think that it would be reasonable. Leiko, a huge expert on this? I don't know. It doesn't seem like something he was an expert on the Queen's Indian, period, But not only the Queen's Indian. I mean, Leiko actually is an interesting case because one of his first coaches was Andras Adorian. Actually, not his first coach, but his first major coach. And Adorian, although he's stark raving mad, is also like a genius, So he's a massive opening expert, creating, a lot of theory in the Sveshnikov, among other things, and the Grunfeld defense in particular. So Leiko played Grunfeld, Sveshnikov type repertoire, like a lot of Hungarian players in his early career, and then later he kind of got more conservative with stuff like the Queen's Indian. So the young Leiko was playing really, really sharp stuff. But he's gotten more and more conservative in his old age. Anyway, black has problems along the c file, the c6 square. It's it's very hard to bring myself to play knight takes e7 here, but his bishop could end up being a strong piece. I don't know. Man, this is ridiculous. Alright, I'm not going to take it. I'm just going to focus on c6. There's a lot of different ways we could play this position. Now he can play bishop f8. Preserve his bishop. Just kidding. No, he knows that he can't allow his queen to get trapped with knight c6. White has a massive game here. I mean, it's like strategically close to winning. The only thing is if I play e4, to be a little bit wary, probably. Slow Karpovian squeeze is in order. Listening to Ben Feingold. I haven't seen Ben Feingold in a long time. The last time I saw him was in 2006 when I offered a draw in a pawn-up position. He never knew why. Kind of personal reasons. I had other things to do. It's kind of like, yeah, okay. It's kind of surprising when you're there, like playing this 2-hour tournament game, and like you're down a pawn, and the other guy just offers you a draw. He probably thought it's because he's an awesome player. Just kidding. I like Ben. Ben's a nice guy. I don't know him that well though. I could play b4, but I decided to. Oh, look at this. I decided to just kind of be practical here. It's a very fast time control. Okay, he did it. He played c6, but that shows a lot of, you know. It shows a lot of thinking outside the box. We're back. Back to f5. Just when you thought like it was safe to come out of the water. Is this even good? We have some wicked threats here. But still it's not that easy. I don't see any clear way to finish him off. I'm not even sure knight f5. Well, I didn't want to trade pieces, really. Maybe we can play knight e3 at one point. I'm not sure about this. Oh, yeah, knight a5, fine. Trading white square bishops. I guess I can't really avoid it. You know, there's some sick knight takes g7 type of stuff, like in around here somewhere. I'd like the knight on a5 where it is. Let's just leave it there. But he's done a good job defending a very, very unpleasant position. I probably missed some sort of forced tactical win somewhere. But it's a fast time control. Knight's coming to c5. Did I just have a strong move that I didn't play? Possibly. That would have been interesting. Maybe it's even better now. It's like forcing me to do it. This almost works. I just can't resist it. Might have been stronger last move to play queen g5. I think he missed an even stronger response. Rook c5. What about rook takes? defended amazingly. I had so many chances. He had rook takes c3, bishop takes c3, queen c6 check, and take on c3. But I guess I would have had at least a draw. He's not giving up just yet. Alright guys, well anyway, it's a fun variation. I don't think I played this perfectly. So here he has to play c6 or knight e4. But he played d6. I was thinking maybe knight f5 is more accurate, not to take on d5 right away. Yep, possible. But anyway, we have a very good game. This was an interesting position. I was actually thinking of taking his bishop. That's really selling out. But I want to see if he was better at one point when I screwed this up. Shockingly, this has actually occurred in a game. It's very bad for black. The dude actually played the same move as me, h3. Not the most direct move. So we have a huge advantage, but he did well to play like c6 and at least attempt to free himself. So this is the key position. And I'm not clearly winning. Yeah, queen g5 right away. I saw it a move too late. Actually, a couple of moves too late. It's still not that clear. I'm not winning by force. The last move was strong. I totally missed his idea of rook c5. And now he has rook takes c3, forcing me to make a draw by rep. Rook takes c3, bishop takes c3, queen c6 check, followed by knight h6, king h8, knight f7, king g8, knight h6, king h8, blah 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 blah. Yep. This forces a draw by repetition. I have nothing better to make a draw by rep. Nothing I can do. I blundered. So then he played the second best move, rook c5. I should play e4 instead of g4. Sort of panicking here. And again, he has the draw by rep, and this just loses. Okay, well anyway, interesting struggle. Ayeste, Plucro, Sleepy Mario, Arsenal fan, Richie. We've got over an hour left, guys. Yeah, not a good opening. But he defended credibly. I mean, the maneuver knight b8 and c6. I think that Kyrgios deserves a lot of credit for... Most players wouldn't go to that length to fight against my center. And he got back to an almost reasonable position after that. I mean, it wasn't like I had a clear win, you know? I never had like a forced win. Sorry. So the semi-Slav. We had a Moscow variation the other day against World Loser, I think. h6, bishop h4. Which is another line that I don't have a good track record with. Actually, I don't have a good track record against h6 at all. I lost to... I lost to a number of strong GMs in the Moscow variation. Novikov, who fell off the face of the earth. Filipov. D takes C, and we're going to go into the sharpest queen pawn opening. The anti-Marin. But I've always played A4. It's not the main line. You know, of course, I haven't always played it. It's not true. I did play E5 at one point, but the theory there is just outrageously complicated. So anyway, guys, thank you for watching today. We have a simul on Sunday, 6:30 p.m. CEST. EST. What the heck is EST? I live in Europe, in case you guys are wondering, because I do speak with an American accent. I'm an American living in Hungary since 13 years. Aviv Friedman. I've known Aviv since I was a kid, because we come from the same home state. Well, I mean, he's originally from Israel, but he lived in the United States for as long as I can remember. Yes, I was trying to say Eastern Standard Time. So, anyway, A4, slightly off the main line. Most people are well prepared for E5. That's what I like to do. I like to play moves that are a little bit out of the mainstream. People aren't as well prepared. A4 is a good move. It's probably not as good as E5, but it's also dynamic and interesting. You guys, I have a YouTube channel, Video Chess Training on YouTube. One project for today is to upload a video to that channel, to my channel. Video Chess Training on YouTube. Now, I guess to play a move that I've faced very rarely. Now, as far as I recall, White might have as many as 3, all 3 moves might be playable in this position. Knights on A2 tend to be kind of problematic. I'm going to just play what I believe I played before when I was faced with this situation. Knight B1. But if we look at this in the database, I think we're going to find that probably all 3 of those moves have been played. I guess what this variation has going for it is that it's kind of forcing B4. Theoretically, it's supposed to be better for White, from what I recall. And I think it sort of releases the tension prematurely. That's the problem. Why is this not the best line for Black? Releasing the tension from the position too quickly. Not to say it's not playable for Black. I mean, I'm sure that there are some games from some decent players, but it feels like B4 is kind of inflexible. He has some weak squares in the position. The bishop pair, that's a typical happening, like Black gets the bishop pair in the Moscow variation. But it's hard to activate his bishop pair, especially the bishop on C8, obviously. Now I could try to blast open the position with D5 position, if I try to enunciate a little bit. Could you create a video on how to approach the middle game and create long-term plans in your own games, please? Yeah, you mentioned that yesterday, and I didn't write it down, so now I have 3 minutes to 1, so Well, this sounds like a series of videos, you know. It's a pretty complex topic there, Arsenal fan Richie. I mean, I don't think that could be addressed with one one video. I think I'd have to create an entire series of middle game planning videos based on my own games, you know. That would be. I was expecting him to play bishop a6, but it's not a walk in the park for black. He's backward along the c file. White has a strong center. White has better development. On the other hand, I still have to open it up somehow. So what I don't want to do, which I'm doing a little bit, is sort of drifting in this position. I mean, obviously, if I play d5, he's got queen takes b2, but maybe we should calculate a little bit more after this. Maybe we should play d5 anyway. If he takes this pawn, we just sack it and move on, you know. Queen d8, another kind of slow move. So I think we can think about d5 again. But it's like cd, bishop e5 check. This looks very precarious for black. So one plan is to open it up. Another plan would be to just kind of bind black down to the c pawn. I mean, a backward c pawn in this position is really, it's weird. I don't know. I decided to just kind of hold off, not commit myself. Rather than blasting it open and potentially opening up his bishop on b7, I'm going to try to just increase my positional advantage. But there's some risk that I'll run out of things to do, I guess. I have no way to break it open later on, more or less. This move in itself a little bit risky, but I think within reason. You know, his bishop can activate now. I'm not sure if he wants to take that risk. I should have waited maybe with like rook fd1 first, something along those lines. This is unpleasant, knight f4. So we're in for, wow, he played c5. I was going to say we're in for a long haul here. Why didn't I play bishop b5 check? Not really sure. Now it's looking like a normal like a normal Marin or something. He's going to put his king on e7, but now there's a problem. If I check him, he has to go to f8. I guess it's not that big a deal. He's done a fantastic job with this game. I mean, staying alive. What I thought was a very difficult situation. But I'm not going to let you, you know, just do whatever you want. Now you've got to answer for your crimes here. Right, now it's not that easy for me to to break through. I mentioned that there could be some issues. I left myself with no breaks, no way to open the position. But we have other ideas. He's played really, really well in the time pressure here. Alright. There's a back rank problem. Just question is how to exploit it. Nothing I can do immediately. Damn. I can't afford to trade queens. He's played fantastically. This ties him down to f7. Just amazing how well he's defended this position. I'm going to lose a piece if I do this. Looks that way. We have rook takes. Sacking the exchange for compensation. What? He dropped a piece. He freaked out. Finally. And he defended so patiently. Pooh. Really, right up until the end. Rook takes d5 just took him by surprise. So, knight b1 is the right move. There's actually a Shirov game. Oddly enough, no serious games. I mean, it looks like a reasonable line for black. It's a little bit passive. I don't understand a5 if you're going to play bishop b7. Then you don't need to play that move, probably. But we get here. Oh, by the way, going back, if I should have played d5 straight away, I think around this position. I was looking at this. It's very complicated. Not necessarily that strong. You can just take et and bishop e7. That's interesting. So we had a big edge, but it's not easy to break it down. And he did a good job. We had a big advantage here. Knight e3. I got a dubious for this move. That's ridiculous. Do you guys see that? Knight ed6 dubious. It's the second best move that Stockfish has. And it gives me an inaccuracy for that move. That's ridiculous, man. I mean, I'm not God, you know. What an arbitrary move to give me dubious. I didn't realize this was just winning outright. ED, queen takes d5 check, king h7. What is he supposed to? What am I supposed to do? Queen takes d5 check, king h7. White's positional advantage is huge. Queen e6. All right, guys, let's move on. Blue Crow 4+5 chess 960. Strong coffee. I wish I had some more coffee. I had a coffee this morning, but it ran out pretty quickly. All right, chess 960. Looks like a fairly good position, except for the knight on a1. All right, let's just open with a central move. I've been playing a lot of hyper-modern type of stuff where I'm just developing the pieces in chess 960. Now I expect he's going to play maybe like g6. Could play c3 quietly. This move opens his c8 bishop. But I think we should just play with a normal straightforward pawn center. Lately, again, I've been giving a lot of space, like central pawn space, to my opponents in chess 960 here, and I thought we'd play a little more classically today. We had a couple games with Arsenal fan Richie, who, by the way, is also challenged me to chess 960, where every time I play him, it seems like he establishes a pawn center, and I'm kind of playing like hyper modern. So I thought we'll try something a little different. The pieces are always on random squares, and it's not like normal chess where you feel like, okay, d4, your queen is on d1. You know that pawn is never going to be vulnerable. It's weird. These pawns aren't protected by anything, so I like my game, but that's a weird move. I mean, he's blocking his bishop he just opened up. I'm just going to play like... I'm going to pretend it's the G3 variation of the Pirts, basically. My name is Anatoly Karpov. This is the Fianchetto Pirts. Why didn't he play the French? Well, openings don't exist in chess 960. Probably something to do with that. My knight on a1 is always a problem, much like his. The question for the ages is whether we should be playing, knight b3 or bringing it out through c2. Alright, man. We'll just stick it on b3, where it seems to be sort of developed in a kind of lame position. I mean, anything else like c3 feels like I'm just playing a totally weakening move in order to put my knight on c2. In case you haven't noticed, this is chess 960. Chess 960 seems to lend itself to... Actually, maybe I should put this knight here. I wanted to go the other way with it. There is a problem with my c2 pawn. My plan was to play knight e3 all along, but I started having second thoughts. Now, actually, I made fun of c3, but it's starting to look like a reasonable move. And the time is ticking. Chess 960 always seems to lend itself to these like struggle, closed position, slow developing. I'm thinking of crazy stuff for black here. I'm actually fearing f5. I'm thinking about knight e3 and thinking about f5. I mean, can that really be a good move for black? Not likely. Maybe at some point, though. Maybe not right away, but I mean, it's playable. It looks kind of weakening. I could even play f4, I guess. Anyway, we've got to do something. Maybe I should have played knight c3 with the idea of castling queenside. But I was concerned about knight to b4, and there's no good way of protecting... Alright, I could play knight c3 followed by queen e2. Would have probably been best. I've been looking at f5 every move up until now, he said. But f5, I mean, you know, maybe threatening f4 on my knight. Objectively, I think if I don't panic, it's not a problem. But I should really have considered knight c3 followed by queen e2, move my bishop and castle queenside. That would have been... On the other hand, I could simply castle kingside, so... What about your bishop on h8? You're not going to play g6 or g5 at some point? You start with a messed up back rank, you spend half the game trying to get to a normal position, then start playing chess. Yeah, it is kind of perverse. I could see how you might not like it. At the end of the day, it's about everything but opening theory. I mean, although slowly Chess 960 would even develop its own opening theory. Arsenal fan said, but it takes away the handicap of people with more opening theory. Right. That's the whole point. Favors players who don't have a lot of knowledge of opening theory, but just understand how to play chess. So I decided to castle queenside. We're getting out of here. Black will probably castle as well at some point in the near future. He didn't, which is dangerous. You know, we could go off on him here with pawn takes pawn, pawn takes pawn, knight takes f5, bishop takes f5, rook e1. Ooh, that looks kind of fun. Let's do it, man. We only live once. Now, on the other hand, before we jump into this head first, would it be better just to play rook e1? Maybe that just wins by force. Blue Crow is about to lose on time. The very original advice of Larry Christensen: if you see a good move, look for a better one. Now, so knight takes f5, it's good. We can play knight takes f5, bishop takes f5, rook e1 with advantage. We're going to win our piece back, but this move looks like there's just no move for black here. Okay, he can sack a pawn. Only move. So there was an advantage to it. Man, this is vicious. This is vicious. Bishop takes c6. Huh. Interesting. Alright, we only live once. I'm not sure what's going on here. Oh, you took with a pawn. That was tricky. Jeez, I messed up. Everything was based on bishop takes c6. Now, black has all sorts of counterplay. Black might be better now. Wow, knight a4. That's a weird move. "13 moves. I really screwed this up. You equalized almost. Did I have a forced win? This is best play. Yeah, f5 was kind of suicidal. Blue Crow should not have played f5. Not good. Just g6. We're just castles. You know, sometimes you forget when there's a piece on h8 that you could just castle right away. And white's only slightly better there. g6. f5 is really bad, but I reacted incorrectly here. I didn't understand after knight c6 check what my follow-up is. h4. So this is the point. Knight h4 check. I didn't see a move for white here. No, my knight is trapped. It doesn't have anywhere to go. I don't have particularly good control of the white squares, but I have two strong moves here. h4, threatening bishop g5, and rook e4, threatening rook f4. That's ridiculous. So white's just winning. But I didn't see it, and I played this terrible g4. g4 gives away almost all my advantage. And I don't know why he didn't take the pawn here. Or at least play bishop takes f5. Blundering a piece. Knight e7 check and g5 is also strong. Alright, Blue Crow, not a good game for you. Arsenal fan is the next game. Then King Chaser, Riddich. I don't know if we're going to get to all those challenges. Possibly. It's 5+3, not the normal 8+3. I'm usually playing. Sorry, guys. Wanted to check another web page, but I can't do that while I'm streaming. All right. Sleepy Mario. I said I wasn't going to play the English, but I just felt like I've been playing e4 and d4 every game. He was due for a bad game. That makes you feel better. We didn't have too many viewers today, just 44. I think that people maybe, you know, go away for the weekend on summer weekends, so Friday, I think last couple weeks ago, Friday wasn't so good here as far as viewers. But b6 is an interesting move. I like that. I had a chance to play this in a game this last tournament I played in, but I didn't do it. I also faced this setup with colors reversed one game. Now we just transpose to a normal hedgehog. You guys like the longer time controls? Like A+3? It's possible there's other streamers on lichess now. I don't know. But this is the best time for me. I feel like I've got energy, and I play rook e1 here pretty much exclusively. I also play this position for black. Although lately I haven't been playing. I've been playing other stuff against the English opening, so I haven't been playing the hedgehog, but I sort of miss it. I used to play c4, c5, knight f3, knight f6, and try to get hedgehog positions. Always had a good result with the hedgehog. I don't remember losing any hedgehogs with black. Pigusov, Udasin, Jesse Cry. Nobody could beat me. Rook e1. Castles e4. I have lost with white, though. Once I lost to Emil Anka. he played like this. But how does this go? Different variation, I guess. This is the main line. This is main line I play with black too. I've lost to several players with white, ironically, but not really with black. Yeah, Iveta Radzievich played this against me too, but not this position. Something wrong here. No, wait a minute. Yeah, it had to be this position. It's kind of an old variation, I think. I mean, personally, I prefer to play a6, which Mihai Suba says, he's the hedgehog expert. He says that it's slightly more accurate for black. But anyway. Queen c8. It's better not to protect this pawn, probably. I had this game with Iveta once where it was the last round of a GM tournament, and she already made a GM norm, and I was white, and I had nothing to play for, and the last round was scheduled to be in the morning, which nobody likes to play. So I just thought that like we could just agree to a quick draw or something and go home. You know, I really wasn't interested in playing anymore. And I showed up, and she's already got a GM norm in the bag. There's no prize at stake. And I was really mad because she like wouldn't agree to a draw, and I just sort of didn't care, so I lost. You always have to, if you're going to show up to a game, you really need to take it seriously. So this is my game with Iveta Railic. I don't know the theory much more deeply than this, since I don't play this line with black. But I played listlessly in that game at 9 o'clock in the morning at the Hungarian Chess Federation some 10 years ago. I think, I mean, I don't really understand this whole business with Queen c8. It seems like you're playing a kind of slow version of some better lines, but anyway, it's playable for black. Is that story about? No, don't read into it too much. It's just about like my only experience in this line ever was losing this game I didn't want to play. Alex Scherzer said the last round is a good place to pick up points. He's probably right. I'm not sure if he was referring to round robin tournaments in particular when he said that, but she was is still around, but she is an extremely fighting player, and never would like draw. She would win and lose, almost never ever have a draw, to the extreme where she often would like impale herself on her own sword. But that's a good way to make GM norms. I mean, if you play crazy enough, you know, once in 10 tournaments, you're probably going to get a good run of games where, you know, even if you lose a lot of tournaments, you're probably going to make some fantastic result. My style is, I'm just way too conservative. I need to take more risks. That's the takeaway from my last tournament. Obviously, I drew 8 games in a row. I wasn't ambitious enough. You know, we're talking about someone who's the other extreme here, you know, who takes crazy risks constantly. But that's a better chance for making like a grandmaster result. I'm not going to call it luck, you know, but statistically, if you play enough tournaments and you play like a maniac, chances are like eventually you're going to get lucky. Sleepy Mario though, from Taiwan, 2203 in classical chess, 2250 in bullet, but 2000 in blitz. Okay, that's weird. Did you like tank your blitz rating or something? This is tricky, and I'm not really sure. I mean, it seems like black's played perfectly. If g4, e5, this is always the trick. At some point, that might happen. You know, I have piece sacrifices with like knight to d5 earlier. I could have tried. Very irrational. But now it's too late for that, probably. I mean, I could still do it, I guess. But it seems a little bit over the top. E5. Hold on a second here. You know, it's been a long time since I played this, but is Sleepy Mario walking into a trap here? No, because there's no e5. If e5, he just plays bishop takes g2. King takes g2, take, knight takes e5. Yeah. Darn. If his bishop was still on e7, I would win by force. But that's the point. I think I had this game against, or a similar game against German IM once. I just don't know what White's supposed to do here. It seems strange to face off my queen against his rook on e8. What are you guys talking about? He's drinking during his streams? Oh, he does streams. I wasn't aware of that. Now e5. Are we better here after e5? Or like, what's the deal? He's obviously free to square for his knight. But White has a space advantage, so I don't know. I'm not sure if h4 is necessary or not. I've never played this player before. For some reason I thought this was someone that I had played before. So he's some sort of bullet player. White has a space advantage here at the expense of my pawn structure, which is probably not so bad. I mean, there's some lines of the Sicilian where this happens. I don't think it's really an issue. He's like unbelievable perfect structurally. What? really sure what's going on here. He just blundered, or this is actually like something he calculated out. I don't know, guys, what's going on here. I mean, the whole game was kind of weird. I'm surprised this position is in theory. In fact, like, how has this not been played before? Here we left book. There's one Dean Ippolito game from 2015. How is that? Like, I played B3 where most people don't play B3. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, I'm sure that against Yvette I actually played F4. Well, anyway, it's just like a move order transposition. I mean, it shouldn't really matter. I'm going to play B3 anyway at some point down the line. F4 is better. So it's a rare move, B3. Okay. One game. G4. If I play G4, I think G6, no? Or E5. But I like the way that Black played this. Instead of H6, he has other moves. E6, E5, and G6 maybe. Looks like the engine likes H6 best. It's interesting. Instead of E5, I could play knight back to F3. But I was getting kind of low on time here. Bishop A3. I guess it's just chances for both sides. Black has the better structure, but white has more space. So the chances are about even. Not really a typical hedgehog, though, you know, this structure, allowing this isolated pawn on E5. It looks more like some kind of open Sicilian that turned into this. Arsenal fan Richie, chess 960. We're going to play... I think instead of E5, though, like the engine was saying, maybe knight F3 is slightly better for white. But it's just a typical position. Nothing special going on there. Alright. This almost looks like normal chess. The queen's on D1. But not quite. I've got a knight on A1 every game. I don't really play on chess.com. I have an account, but I don't like playing computers. D4, D5. I want to play the Queen's Gambit. No, no Queen's Gambit here. That just drops a pawn. I mean, I don't know. We could play it as a positional pawn sacrifice. But we need to get the pieces in the game. Rich plays very sort of classically in the opening. Hard to play a sharp game, man. I mean, I can't even like play E4, C4. We just have to play some sort of really slow type of setup. It looks like a Slav reversed. There's cheaters on every chess site, but it's a question of what the site does to stop them, you know. And some sites do more than others. On lichess, I'm quite happy with the amount of prevention of removal of computer cheaters. Let's see, C6. They keep coming, but we keep kicking them out. Knight on A to B3. I talked about this yesterday. Pay chess sites have a conflict of issues with kicking out people who cheat with computers. They don't want to kick out paying customers. So anytime you have a chess site that's a pay site, it's sort of problematic because they don't want to part with their paying members who like to use computers to play. E5 for black here is a good move. Damn, he's out centering me again. It looks like I'm actually losing the battle for the center. I guess I can play E4. It really looks like I'm playing the Caro-Kann defense here. You guys get the pleasure of the ambulance now. I could play E4. Pawn takes E4, bishop takes E4. Alright, let's do it. We only live once. Do you think there are lots of bots? Bots. It's not online poker. I mean, I don't know about bots. You mean bots like you're coming from being a poker player? A lot of people using engines to play every game almost. Like 5 out of my last 10 games. Not that I play very often, but whenever I tried to play on that site, it was just like every other opponent was a computer. And it's not only that site. There's a lot of sites like that. Whew. Rich is really accurate in the opening. He's opening up if he plays F5 here, but it's still it's an interesting move. You've seen me play at least 3 bots, as I said. Yeah, dude, but I mean, I've played 5,000 games here. I mean, of course there are bots. It's a fact of life, you know. But all we can do is kind of like try to limit it to a reasonable amount, you know. Maybe I play like 5% of my opponents on this site are computers, where on other sites they could be as much as 50%, you know. That's all you can do, is just try to fight back against it, as it's not going to go away, you know. The issue is not going to go away, but we try to manage it as best we can. Anyway, I'm not going to talk about computers anymore. It's just a really, really boring subject that people just obsess on. Focusing on the chess here, I already like black's position. I don't know, Rich seems to play really, really well in the opening stage of Chess 960. And just very quickly, he's just better. Just don't really like my position. Now I have to move my bishop again. It's constantly threatened to be. It's constantly threatening F5, knight C4, hitting my B2. Yeah, but if people cheat on lichess, you can report them, and something is usually done about it. Whereas on other sites, that's not the case. They don't do anything. I'm a little bit concerned that I could be slightly worse in this ending because of my B2 pawn coming under attack, but I guess that goes both ways. Knight takes, queen takes queen, knight takes queen, knight C4, knight D3 holds on to the material. It's possible to just play B3 here. Just don't let a knight go to E2 or E7 with check. Maybe I'm going to have to play B3. I don't like weakening my queen side, but the other options are less appealing. One day I'll try to play in a chess 960 tournament and live. I mean, how many places can there be such an event? Pardubice. Does anybody else know of any sort of live chess 960 tournaments? In the Czech Republic, every summer there's a very good chess festival. But other events, I'm not sure. Guys, I'm going to be back Sunday with a simul stream here on lichess. And please check out my YouTube channel, Video Chess Training on YouTube. We're going to try to put up a new video today, in fact. I post videos with all sorts of content, of course chess-related content. Sometimes opening analysis, sometimes game analysis of games I've played. Sometimes we have Grandmaster games. This, unfortunately, wasn't a really interesting game because of the symmetry with the structure. I prefer imbalanced positions. I was talking about this earlier in the Alekhine's defense, for example. E4, knight f6, e5, knight d5, c4, knight b6, d4, d6. For years I played e takes d, but my problem is that I don't really like playing symmetry, you know, symmetrical pawn structures. I guess it's something that I have to work on. Maybe I should force myself to play the white side of the exchange variation of the French or something, you know, just to force myself to really appreciate total symmetry and positions with total symmetry in the pawn structure. Maybe h4 here. Looks like kind of weakening. Maybe castling kingside. I had some hallucination that I could play knight f5, which is not a good thing. Don't know why. c4. Just gonna castle. I was a little bit concerned about c5, but I don't think it's a big deal. He could sack a pawn to mess up my structure with like c5, c4. But still, pawn is a pawn, and that could be a useful pawn. I could take it and push forward. So I'm running out of time, which is always good. Just kidding. Okay, my d3 knight is protected, which is good to know. Just nothing going on here. This is definitely a strange move, but there is a d-file and me getting pinned and stuff, which I was very concerned about. I just dropped a piece. Whoops. Oh, I thought my piece was protected. I just dropped a piece. Good game, me. But the black played like perfectly that whole game. Really nice. This is, by the way, the most aggressive move for black. I'm glad I get to play one more game. This guy Stefan NK is a decent chess 960 player here. I couldn't find a better move, basically. We're following this game. Knight b6 looks good. I mean, my bishop is exposed on e4. I don't really have a good move in this position. Black already has the advantage. Actually, knight c5, it says. It's kind of a scary move to play. So I thought that Rich played fantastically here. He's already just better. Knight c4, black's better. And now f4 didn't appeal to me, and I played too conservatively. I did mention h4, didn't I, at one point? Maybe that would have been best. But I just hung a piece here in an equal position. Bishop d2 was c1. Wasn't necessary. I was going to play h3, actually, to prevent bishop g4. Still, black has bishop f5 there. Maybe I should just play knight e5 right away and offer a draw or something. I mean, there's just nothing going on here. Knight d4. Didn't occur to me. There's actually a tactic there. Knight d4, bishop takes d3, bishop takes d3, c5. Threatening bishop takes h2 check, but I can bail out with bishop takes g6 and not be worse somehow. I don't really like this, though. To me, it looks like black might be a tiny bit better. Maybe not. Knight b5. So anyway, Rich, you get a victory. You played well, and I couldn't find anything, but I hung a piece there, forgetting that my bishop on b1 was unprotected. I don't know why I assumed like my bishops are connected or something. They're not rooks, you know. I'm just not used to having a hanging bishop on b1, I guess. But it's equal. Knight d4. Knight d4. A win is a win, man. Congratulations. King Chaser. We're going to play 5 plus 3. Yeah. Unfortunately, internet chess, it's good for training purposes, but I don't think this idea of having, I just don't think it's going to fly, you know. Tournaments where there's prizes online. It's against the nature of the beast. King Chaser g6. It's the Dragendorf. It's strange that this move is extremely rare in this position. While there doesn't seem like there's anything, it just doesn't seem like there's anything concretely wrong with that move. Why don't more people play g6? When if they wanted to play the dragon, they would play the dragon, right? I mean, that's that's the main point. Unfortunately, yeah. What are we doing? Bishop b3 at some point. h3. The problem is he hasn't played knight c6 yet, so it's not like a normal, not really a normal dragon. I castle kingside, which is super meek. I just, yeah. If you have prizes in online tournaments, the cheaters will come. It's just like, and people turn into cheaters, you know, otherwise like not cheating players. Money is the root of all evil, as they say. Alright, man, this is just super lame. I guess I'm a little bit tired from that. Like last game, I dropped a piece on b1. But this is just not dangerous for black at all. I have to come up with something better than this. f3 and castles kingside. I actually usually make fun of people who do this. So I'm now one of them. I have no attack, no break on the king side. You know, no g4, h4. And I don't have any advantage on the queen side either. So this is just sort of totally lame. Totally lame. Maybe a4, trying to map out a little bit of space on the queen side. with my rook still on a1, it seems like a viable plan. He's going to play knight takes, knight to c4 at some point, obviously. That's fine. Let's just cheer up the c3 knight. We can not have to worry about exchange sacrifices. But the forward plan is just non-existent for white here. I could just try to hold the position, play sort of defensively, and then see if I can figure out something later. Opening was just a fail. Don't castle kingside and play f3. Don't try to play the Yugoslav attack where you're castling kingside. It's just utterly lame. However, here maybe a5. Clamping down on the queen side gives us a little something. Possibly thinking about this position strategically, I could transfer my knight to like b3 or maybe trade the dark squared bishops. Perhaps I should play bishop h6 right away, but he has that queen b6 check. Another reason why I'm taking a5, the approach to play a5, taking away b6 from black. Played bishop e6. Still, if bishop h6, maybe king h1. Again, approaching this position in a kind of defensive way at this point for white. Of course, you don't have to like involve money to get people to cheat. I worked for this site called World Chess Network, which is now defunct. There was a bunch of grandmasters and myself. One day, like, we reached the conclusion that a certain other grandmaster was cheating every game in these banter games on World Chess Network. It's like, you know, at first you're like, that can't be, you know, nobody would do that. Nobody, no title player would cheat in an unrated, you know, like banter game where they're getting paid to play, but there's no prizes or anything, right? But this guy was doing it. So it's not only about money, but in a way it was about money, because I guess the motivation was to make himself look good, and therefore attract more students to his business of teaching chess. And so again, we could probably lay the blame on financial benefit being the motivation for said grandmaster to cheat. Alright, structural advantage, but it's sort of... Actually, I had the same game, not the same game, against World Loser yesterday in the London system. Another structure I would kind of compare to this a little bit. Not so bad for black. He's got the 5-pawn island and one Isolani over here. Unfortunately, b3 is very weakening for white. I have ideas of knight f4. Then I lose control of d4. This pawn is dropping. So it looks like king chaser is okay here. Okay, he's not threatening queen takes b2 for certain reasons, but what do I do? If I play knight f4, then he can do that. b3 weakens my queen side. Maybe I still have to do it. We can play... Maybe we can play for c4 somehow. I'm not really sure. Knight a4. Just not a great square, is it? But knight a4 and c4. Alright. Unfortunately, time is money. I hate my knight on the side of the board. You put the other knight on d4, and it doesn't look so bad. Yeah, I mean, the problem with Grandmaster in said example was that he was kind of a weak to lower mid-level Grandmaster who was having to play a lot of stronger Grandmasters on said website. And so if he played his normal self, you know, he would struggle and probably fight to make 50%. So instead he became like super Grandmaster. I don't think he like almost ever lost a game. You know, there was one point where Mihai Marin and Larry Christensen and I were just like counting our score against him. We were like, this dude has never like lost, you know? I mean, is that normal? I mean, against me, maybe, but against Larry and Marin, it was like impossible that the guy was like never losing. Maybe I should take his bishop out here. This bishop and my knight, right? Maybe I should take it out. This is an interesting position. I would have had problems with my c file if I take his bishop out. But anyway, I'm going to have problems with that. Right? Maybe he's just going to play bishop c8. Alright. Interesting game. It's just really hard to make any progress here. Being tied down to c2. I feel like I'm playing like Kamsky or something. Just the most minuscule technical advantage known to man, and that's enough. Trying to play like Kamsky, I should say. We don't want to get back rank mated, and h4, although possible, would be a pretty serious concession. Just hoping that somehow one of these pawns might fall before mine falls. Oh no. Gotta be careful around here. Now hopefully we land the first blow. We landed the first blow, but I'm not sure if it was enough. We take with the pawn. I mean, pawn takes is pretty interesting. Actually not. I don't know. Oh no, pre-move. He resigned. He pre-moved queen b7. Good fight. Good fight. Now apparently I'm winning, but it takes, probably takes some good technique here. I thought this was a good game though. Guys, we're going to finish up today. Let's take a look at this. Really lame opening by me. After g6, f3. Yeah, it's like stupid. I mean, that's the best I could come up with. Look at Black's score, by the way, here. I guess I played bishop b3, right? No, I castled. Castles is pretty lame. Maybe White should try to not castle kingside. This is just really, really weak. Solodovichenko. He's probably like 2,600 now. Alright, a4. Equal position. Here. Knight f4. Wow, the engine hates this for White. I'm actually going to drop the pawn on a5. Wow, this was bad. So I can't play this. King chase are missed, bishop takes, queen takes, and rook c5 here, which is just terrific. I'm overextended. a5 is overextended. It was too ambitious to play a5, it looks like. I have to play b4, but that's terrible. I'd rather just resign. Maybe knight f4 or something. But this is awful, so I have to find another plan. But again, White doesn't have any plans here. You know, this position. I shouldn't play a5. I don't know what White's supposed to do. You know, I just don't have anything. Or no bishop h6, no plan. Computer would be happy here. Rook fc1. Just kind of play like a robot. Maybe that's modern chess. It looks really ugly. Anyway, guys, thank you for playing today. We will be back Sunday with a simul here on lichess, 6:30 p.m. CET, CEST, Central European Summertime. Thank you guys for joining us. Thanks Blue Crow for moderating. Don't forget to check out my YouTube channel, Video Chess Training on YouTube. We're going to try to upload a new video there on YouTube today, if all goes well. And I will see you guys on Sunday. Thanks again for the games, and see you then. Bye-bye.